Hello and welcome to another episode of All Code Sucks, where we look at real production code that I have found and improve it in an educational manner. Today is a very silly example that was probably made worse by a code formatter, but let's jump into it and explain it. And that code formatter what's it called? I don't even remember. It's been so long since I ported code from, Modernize, from Python 2 to Python 3. So Modernize probably made this code worse, but let's fix it nonetheless. So this is a particular piece of code which, this part isn't important, but it takes a set of the keys and makes a list out of them, sorts that list, converts that into a list, and then reverses it. So if we run this code, we should expect to see ZAC, or not ZAC, ZCA, because it's the reversed sorted of the keys. And a few things to note here. This is actually at least 2 times wasteful, and probably a third. And so we're going to fix this one thing at a time. Now, the first thing is sorted. If you've written Python, sorted, say we have a list that's 3, 1, 2. You can call sorted on a list, and this will return back a new list. So the old list is still around. If you wanted to sort the list in place, you could use lst.sort, and that will sort the list in place. Actually, kind of fun fact about the way sorted works is it takes its argument in, converts it to a list, and then sorts that list and returns the list. So funny little fact about how this thing works. I think I actually covered this in another video, but anyway, so the first takeaway is that sorted itself returns a list. So if we go back to our example here, there's no reason to convert the return value of sorted to a list. Okay, cool. We've removed one of the 4 parentheses at the end. All right, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about is sorted its input. I actually alluded to this already. Sorted takes its argument, its iterable argument, not a list argument, but an iterable argument. The first thing that it does is it converts it to a list. So if we had, for instance, I don't know, range, that's a generator. You can convert it to a list by calling list. But if you call sorted on range, you don't actually need any special conversion. You don't have to call sorted list range because sorted will convert its argument to a list by default. So going back to our code, we don't need this list call here either. Okay, great. We're getting somewhere. We're down to only 2 parentheses here. Actually, I don't think we can get any fewer. But now the next thing is dictionaries. Cool thing about dictionaries, you have a dictionary, let's say A1, C2, B3, and unterminated string literal, number. Okay, say we have a dictionary. If you iterate over a dictionary, it actually iterates over the keys in Python. So if you do for k in dct print, I don't know, got k, it's going to print out the keys. So you might, in other languages, iterating over a dictionary iterates over the pairs. Some don't allow you to iterate at all without explicitly asking for either keys, values, or items. Keys, values, or pairs. But in Python, the default, or well, the only way to iterate a dictionary is by its keys. Now, you of course can iterate its values by doing for v in dict.values. Or if you want to iterate the pairs, you can use items, AV, but by default, it iterates the keys. So there are very, very, very few reasons in Python to call .keys because you're already iterating over the keys by default. Why bother calling keys in the first place? This has a tiny bit of overhead in that first it calls a function. Any function call in Python has some amount of overhead. And then it creates a key view as the result. So dict.keys creates this intermediate dict keys container object. It doesn't actually have a list in it, but this is just the nice representation. So it gives you an idea of what's inside the dictionary. So it has a little bit of extra overhead in that there's a function call and it creates an intermediate view. All of that to say, we don't need this .keys call here. It is wasteful. We can just call sorted on the dictionary directly. Great. Okay, we are down to one parenthesis, but we can actually improve this further. So in this case, we were creating a list and then we were reversing it. And sorted itself allows you to reverse directly. So if you have back to our interpreter again, if we call sorted on 1, 3, 2, I guess it's 1, 2, 3, great. We can actually say reverse equals true, and it will do that for us. So we don't need a separate line to do our reversing. Sorted has that built in. Say reverse equals true. And now we have simplified the code from a whole bunch of unnecessary copies, views, calls, and now it is just down to a single call with the reverse argument here. And just to show that it still works the same as before, we still get ZCA. Anyway, that's what I wanted to show you here. Oh, do I still have the original in the paste buffer? I do. Hooray. This was the original. This is the new code. So we have improved this, and hopefully you've learned some small things about these built-ins in Python today. Anyway, hopefully you found this nice, and I'll see you in the next one.